All right. And if you are just not tuning in, man, this is Jobs from My Skin is My Sin Radio with another episode of Intellectually Petty Radio. And today we are going to talk about solutions. And you know, I got to tap in and just make sure that we are actually live and that people can hear me out there. So bear with me. You know, I ain't all that hot with the Zoom. And we got the brother Amari Asad in the building right now. And we got a couple more people that's going to tap in tonight. And we're going to talk about solutions for our people.
Definitely.
Intellectually Petty Radio. And today we are going to talk about solutions. All right. So I can hear myself just fine. And that people can hear me out there. Amari, say something for me, bruh.
Peace, 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 family.
And we got the brother Amari Asad in the building right now, and we got a couple more people that's gonna tap in tonight, and we're gonna talk about solutions for our people. And today we are gonna talk about solutions. All right, so I can hear my. All right, and I think we good. I think we good. Let me know out there. And we got Christina also in on the call. That's dope. How you doing, Queen? And hold on, let me unmute you. How you doing, Queen?
Hey, how you doing?
We doing
Peace,
good.
Queen.
We doing good. Oh, wait a
Good.
minute. So we got somebody else in here too. All right, that's what I'm talking about, man. Let's do something for our people tonight, man. Let's get some solutions out here. You know, and I really wanna I'm waiting on Boom to call up.
All right.
Okay. I don't know what the hell they doing up there, and I don't know who Office is, but I think you have yourself muted. I'm not sure. Office, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm not sure what that Office means. Oh, they connecting to the audio now. Okay, my bad. All right, so why I got y'all here, man, and y'all the first ones to tap in. Um, what do you think about the state of Black people right now? Let me ask you that before we get started on solutions. I'll let you go first, Queen. What you think? What is your opinion on the state of Black folks right now?
Oh, I'm a big advocate for mental health, right?
Mm-hmm.
And understanding that in order to heal, we also
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Hello.
I think it's going in and out.
Yeah, you know how Zoom goes sometimes, and it just depends on where you at. And I think Boom was having a little technical difficulty too. He just
If
inboxed
yeah,
me.
okay. Then also, if you haven't, I don't know if they made it mandatory, but they were saying if you haven't updated, it would not go well for you either.
And I'm just give me a second. I'm hitting Boom with the because you can either dial one of the numbers in there, or you can simply use the link that's provided in there as well. So you got a couple of different ways, and you do not need to be uh subscribed to Zoom at all to tap in. But since it's just me and you, and what do you think? What is the state of Black folks at this point?
Say the Black folks angry, I guess, upset. Um, I think also confused. A lot of people don't know where to go. I don't think they don't know where they get their information from. So some of them are just kind of stagnant. They just kind of all over the place with what they think they know. And sometimes it's we can act off emotion. I'm kind of like how sister was, with the mental health. So I kind of come from a different background dealing with psychology on that level and how to understand behavior. Once you deal into behavior is unpredictable. So you look at that, you you can justify it by how they acted, but at the same time they're acting out as a child, but just not understanding why they acting out. And so we had to go back into the huddle because a lot of things is not even dealing with the society, it's dealing with self too. And it's just reflection that's showing what they need to work on even more. but we didn't. Some people is not trying to have that real conversation.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that self worth is not going to stop racism, but it does play a big factor in us for unifying. If we broken, how can we gather any pieces together if we are all missing and messed up? So because you're not going to come out of a place of love. So when we talk about that, we have to operate in love. If we don't, then we will always fall in peace. Because if you love what you do, you're not going to hurt your own kind. You're not going to tear down. You're not going to fight. You're not going to kill your own kind. So once we get that understood, we can definitely move forward. But right now, I think there's a lot of confusion, hate of self and others, and confusion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like the stronger that we are as a people, the stronger that we come off to others. To just to put that in a nice little capsule.
Yeah.
And we definitely need to work on that. And shout out to attorney Dwayne Boyd. I'm not sure. Like I unmuted you, King. I don't know if that is me not being able to mute you or you got yourself muted.
I think that's
Um,
him.
yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, and being that's all we do at school is do Zoom. So
Yeah, again, like this is, y'all got to bear with me a little bit. I'm still working out the kinks on the Zoom, but actually, thus far, we're doing all right. We had a
right,
couple of little kinks, but it is what it is.
right.
Just a white screen keep coming up for boom. And am I able to call somebody from here?
It depends on what did you buy the actual.
Yeah.
Okay, you may be able to. I never done it yet.
Okay. Uh and let's see. Yeah, I'm just trying to see because I really want to get boom in on the conversation, man. And I'm not sure if this is and this is what I'll do. I'll ask you to start a video. Uh, and we'll see if we can make him the host if that would actually assist us in getting him on the air. I'm not sure, but I would love to get Boom's input. All right, so next question, man, since it's just me and you for right now. And Dwayne, I need you in here. I was just here to listen. Okay, I got you. All right. So what I really want also is your number one solution for us right now. We have got the world's attention. We have got uprisings, protests, whatever you want to call them, in every state, in on every continent, in countries across the planet. How can we capitalize on this? Because we've seen this, but not to this magnitude. How can we make this a sustainable energy to improve the lives of Black folks in this country?
Change the energy. Once everybody, you got to think about it like church. Everybody they used to tell you stand up and you hand your hand out towards the pulpit, right? And they say, I want everybody to talk about what you want, talk about the things that you want, right? And all that energy was going to one direction, right? That's the same thing we have to do right now. We have to change the energy and what we want to manifest into to basically connect those dots with the vibration. If we don't change the energy and change the vibration, we always will miss the connection that we need. So once we do that, we get everybody talking the same pattern, same understanding to get what we want, what is first. Because everybody want what they think is first. But if we get everybody to change the energy to one direction, the law of attraction of what we want manifest out the universe will heal to our liking of our own existence.
And we got Christina back in on the line. How you doing, Queen? Can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry, there's a storm out here, so it kicked out my internet for a second.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, like there's a couple people that was having some issues calling in. So shout out to you for being diligent. And if you don't know, she has been like one of our admins in My Skin Is My Sin for from day one, basically.
What's up?
Well, yeah. I appreciate that. I'm sorry, I didn't. I caught the tail end what you said, brother. So
no problem.
The first part of that.
Yeah. So basically, I was. What was your question again?
I was just kind of summarize what you said because I kind of came in the.
No, I was asking him to say the question so you can hear the question as well as the answer.
The question was, now that we have the world's attention, and I don't mean, like we've been down this road as far as, like having some attention in this country, but this is some global shit. And in every state, we've got everybody's attention. How can we capitalize on this as a people and sustain this energy and improve our status going forward?
So what my answer was, we need to change our energy. And the example that I used was, same way you used to go to church, and they'll have you stand up and, put your hand out and whatnot, and they'll tell you, talk about things that you want, right? And so we manifest the energy into one direction. So that's the example I want us to do, is trying to change our energy on what direction do we need to go in. And once we do that, we can, yield the things that we want to us, because we are speaking on the same vibration, the same level, to actually get the things that we want right then and there, because we're using I say one dimensional energy of everybody being on the same chord.
So that's really interesting, because actually prior to this conversation, I was kind of I've been having that conversation lately, that kind of looks at kind of what do we want, where do we go moving forward. And so I would have to say that in some regards, brother, what you said, I kind of disagree. I think there's this is my own personal opinion now. I think there's this idea that we somehow have to, every Black person, everybody got to be on the same accord in order for us to move forward. And I think that that's not, in my opinion, it's just not realistic, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think that we've ever been on that accord. And so too many people, too many different ways. And what I look at white supremacist thought is that it has attacked Black people in so many ways and in so many facets of our life, that to say that there's one solution and everybody can kind of start here, right, is, I think, is too much to ask of people, because humans, at the end of the day, we're still humans, right? And so there's going to be certain aspects of things that we don't agree on, that we don't comprehend, certain experiences that we don't have, and so we're not going to agree. And so sometimes I feel like we spend a lot of time trying to find this one place to start, instead of looking at what has been done, right? And so how can we not necessarily try to reinvent the wheel, but how can we improve it, right? We understand that when the wheel was created, it didn't look how it looks today. And likely 25 years from now, the wheel is still not going to look what it looks like today, right? And so we have to be, in my opinion, more open, instead of saying, how do we all come aboard and say, okay, what works best for us? What works best for me, right? So we understand that if you look at Black liberation groups across the board, I think that the common theme, obviously, is Black people want liberation. We want, what does freedom look like? But that all looks different for different people, right? So I will give you an example. We have members of religion that are not on the same accord. How can I fight? How can I tell somebody that their belief in God, and again, I'm not here to preach that, but how can I tell someone that their belief in God is wrong? And so that's a space we need in order for us to come to any kind of agreement, you got to let that go, or move to this space, or do that. How can I tell somebody that, and I know a lot of people in the Black community, particularly, we disagree on this, but how can I tell somebody who they choose to love or how they choose to identify, that somehow that's wrong, right? And so this ideal that all these different experiences that Black people have, all the various ways that we have been attacked, that somehow we're going to have one centralized theme, I think is a wrong starting point. And I think we need to start saying, reaching across the board with each other and saying, what does liberation look like for you? And how can I move within that? How can I help you within that? Because we're all in different levels. We're all in different spaces. We all are educated. And when I say educated, I'm not talking about Eurocentric education only, right? We all are educated in a different way. But when we open our hearts up to each other and truly say, what does liberation look like for you, my brother? Because it doesn't look like that for me. And I don't necessarily, so there's also, we have to remove the agreement and understanding are not synonymous, right? So I don't necessarily have to agree with every aspect of your life to understand that you're still my brother. You still my sister. And if you choose, whatever you choose to, however you choose to move, I respect that. I love that, because if I'm truly about liberation for Black people, if I'm truly about love for my people, then I have to love us within every aspect of which we come. And I can't do that if I'm centering us, if I'm boxing up us, if I'm saying, this is how we got to move. I can't tell people how to move. So what I do, this is just me again, how can I help you? What does liberation look like for you? And how can I move within that? And again, this is just my opinion.
And you know what? That's interesting. Like I hear people all the time say we at war, or so and so is a soldier, but we never look at this as though Black people are an army, and we never look at the actual practical nature of what an army actually entails. Like we just look at people with the front line, so to speak, but we don't look at the fact, and I say this all the time, that there are accountants, there are cooks, there are there's somebody's washing dishes, somebody's washing clothes, there are communications experts. There are so many facets that go into an army to make the whole army work. And I think we get caught up in wanting to rank people's contribution to the movement. Like, I love my brothers and sisters on the front line. I'm not a frontline cat. I'm an old guy. I know, I'm gonna leave that to the younger cats. I got some issues health wise. I know I cannot move like some of the younger cats can, but we've been doing, we've been on air for like 5 years. So maybe there's somebody out there that I can reach with a message that needs to be reached. So that's my angle. That's what me and Rome do. And shout out to Rome. He in here, he just muted. But that's what we do. And I don't look at it like I'm less valuable than somebody that's protesting or that's uprising. I look at it as I'm just in a different lane, and I'm contributing to the best of my capability to make the machine or the army of Black folks as great as we can be. And with that, I do have a question for y'all too. And I don't know, we got a Nokia 3.1A. We're gonna get into the meeting too.
Peace. Can you hear me?
Shout out to you. What's up, Rome? And this is my cousin, man. Shout out to you, Marsha. I got a question. Looting or uprising or rioting, is it useful? And if it is, have we used it correctly thus far?
Somewhat.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go first, Rome. Elaborate on that when you say somewhat.
I say somewhat in the sense as like, for instance, like they went directly to police precincts and burned them down. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not for the looting in the neighborhoods you live in and whatnot.
Okay.
I'm not for that. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you still have to live there. But at the same time, you gotta be able to understand rage.
I agree
in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, like, I understand, but I don't fully agree.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I would agree with that. Nokia, Marsha, what's going on, cuz? What do you think?
Well, actually, as far as the police station, I honestly don't believe that we did it. I don't believe anybody who was rioting or disputing. At what point do you ever find an empty police station? There was nobody's in there.
How is that know possible?
How is that possible?
Let's say for the sake of argument that was a strategic move on the part of Black folks. Is that a wise thing to do, or should we look in other areas if, in fact, looting, if you want to call that, is pretty much your angle? If you think that looting is a good, and that's not even considered looting per se. I'm not sure what you would call that. Maybe
you call vandalism.
Vandalism.
Oh, well, when you burn down a building, I think that's a little bit more arson. Let's be honest. Yeah. Strategic arson. If you want to look at it from a war standpoint, in my opinion, that would be one of the logical locations if you're going to go in that route. A farming system, water system, things of that nature.
This
But
is being made on a
is that
broad-
practical?
It's not practical, but you have to understand the hands at play.
Mhm.
Based on history, based on the data and everything, historically, the puppets in the background, which is what we're with some of these instigators and things like that, have absolutely nothing to do with it. There has been multiple footage that has been put out where there have been people inciting the riots. They have absolutely nothing to do with it. They just want the anger and the hostility.
Mhm.
Because when we're fighting, we're not paying attention. Okay.
Mhm.
And so you miss the finer points of things when you're not objective. When you're too angry to be objective, it hurts. So no, the looting, I don't think it's very helpful. But then you have to also look at some of the people who didn't get arrested for looting aren't even from the states they're looting in. They're driving over because they're opportunists.
Yeah.
And they're
Very true.
away with something and get back to their state without paying a penalty. So those people actually aren't doing anything for the cause. They're doing things to just line their pocket or to create more aggravation. You have video footage of people writing Black Lives Matter on the wall, but they weren't Black.
Yeah.
So now it's like
Absolutely.
realizing. And that wasn't the issue or the case to be.
Mhm.
What we need to be focused on, or whether or not that's helpful, I think it's kind of counterproductive. These marches, this global scale that we're on, this global stage is the most powerful stage we have ever had in history.
Mm.
It is time for us to unify. And yes, everybody's unity is not the same, but if we look at other races and how they work with each other to get to a common cause, I don't have to have the same belief system as you to get there. I don't have to, believe everything you believe to get there.
Facts.
But we need to focus that there is a common point that we need, and we need to be equal. We need to be free to live our lives with the same dignity and respect that every other man, woman, and child that is not of color has been deemed from birth God-given rights.
That brings up an interesting point, though. Are there two things that you think that and I'm gonna let Amari answer this first. Are there just two things that you think that Black folks can agree on that we can unite on, at least as a foundation? Just two things.
Money and resources.
Money and resources. Is there, like, can you narrow that down just a little bit?
Well, for me, it would be, for most people just want to be rich. For people that want to be get a little technical, it would be wealth. So generational wealth. So that's buying something that has assets, something that you can hold on to, something you can see long term that can continue. Resources would be understanding the loans, understanding the property value, understanding jobs or creating jobs, understanding how to build certain things that can keep it going effective, how to quote unquote your nationality or be governed and things of that nature. Those are resources are farming, planing, things of that nature, solar systems, stuff like that, how to be on the grid, off the grid, things like nature. But those are also the resources dealing with tissue, water, supplies, food, things of that nature, essentials that things people need right now. So the money and the resources is something that they both hand in hand. So understanding that and kind of put them together and glue them together, it definitely be a major effect that I think that everybody will kind of to understand. But again, it depends on what the mindset of our people, and some, majority would save money, but it depends on where they at that time.
Okay. All right. What do you think, Christina?
Well, a couple of things. So, I do want to address kind of my opinion about the looting aspect because I tend to be a little more uh, different thinking in that regard, and I don't see it as an issue in,
Mm-hmm.
and so and also kind of going back to what you asked, like what can we agree on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I just kind of come to the table with an agreement to respect you as a Black person as long as you respect me. And I can't push anything for real past that. So the looting for me uh, is not an issue in regard because, and I say this, let me preface it. I do think we need to be mindful. I do not
Mm-hmm.
think Black businesses, particularly Black businesses that are invested in the community, should or need to be hurt. But the larger buildings and businesses, that doesn't affect me. I didn't feel moved by that. Anybody who follows me on social media, I was very clear about that, right? And that's because, so again, if we're talking about this larger eradication of white supremacist thought, what one of the things within that is capitalism. And I'm anti-capitalist because I do believe that that harms and that does damage, particularly to poor Black people. And again, there are factions. I think sometimes we get caught up in uplifting and holding up a certain type of Black person, as that is kind of what you were saying, looking at the soldiers, that there's only a certain type of Black person that we, and I say we, I'm talking about the general public, that we deem worthy of being respected, that we deem worthy of being cared for, that we deem worthy of just being. And so as having grown up in poverty, as having been in that, I don't think anybody's life is more than a building, particularly if you're talking about million dollar industries that are insured.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not concerned, right? And so that's me. I think it is a fine line because I understand, I'm a history major and I understand history and I understand what agitators are. I understand the infiltration, if you will, of our enemies into our spaces to agitate and create confusion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it is a fine line, but on a larger scale, I'm not bothered by it. Okay. That piece, the burning down of let's just go back to the burning down of the police building, is when it was like, I've been doing this for a long time too. And I was like, oh, it don't feel the same. And people didn't feel the same at that moment. It was different, right?
Yeah.
And even the manner in which they were discussing about it when they were talking about it on TV, it was like we had to abandon the base. Like all of it was very war mentality conversation. And so I think that you cannot continue to ask a people who you violate and are commit atrocious acts of violence to sit there and talk calmly to you. And so the analogy I keep using with white people is, if I walk up to you and I come with a shotgun and a knife, and on one side I'm stabbing you, the other one I'm shooting you, I'm busting you up, you got a busted lip, broken leg, broken arm, and then I tell you, okay, you bleeding, broken up, and I say, okay, sit here, and I want you to calmly tell me what's hurting you. That's ludicrous, because you see where the pain is, you see what the hurt is, you see where the wound is, you see what needs healing, right? And so I don't think it makes sense to continue to ask people to be calm. And I don't think, again, I think there's different areas where it works. I think there's a time for peaceful protest and a time for not. And this is, again, goes back to what can we agree on? I don't know, because we all see it so differently. And I think all those opinions and those viewpoints are respected. And so I'm always going to come to the table with you and say, hey, my brother, hey, my sister, hey, I respect you as a Black person. What does your humanity and your freedom look like to you?
And you know what, like, as far as the looting goes, like, I can just go from having grown up in Detroit and knowing that like my parents or my mother and her generation lived through the riots in Detroit. And Detroit still has, quite honestly, yet to recover from those riots in the 60s. And that wasn't just them. Like they burnt up a shitload of Black-owned businesses, but they also burned up Hudson's. They also burned up like a shitload of, white-owned major companies And the problem with that was it sounded good at the time. Yeah, burn they shit down. It won't affect us. But it did affect us because we didn't have access to those resources. You know, now as opposed to being able to go 10 minutes downtown to go to Hudson's, we had to go a half an hour or 25 minutes to Eastland or to Northland, depending on what side of town you was on. You know, or and not only that, then we had to leave Detroit proper to go to a suburb, which we were even at a more of a disadvantage because the policing was even more strict out there. You know, so it had an effect, even though we didn't necessarily foresee it. And not only that, those was jobs that people had. You know, as much as we want to say, you know, black folks should, you know, we should have our own businesses. We should, but like if every black person had their own business, we'd still be in the same situation because nobody would be supporting most of those businesses. It's just not practical.
You know, did in the 60s, but not now. That's the difference.
I mean, but even then, like everybody didn't have their own business.
Right. I'm talking about far as supporting goals.
Yeah. Well, what it was is though we were able to employ. We didn't have, you know, like millions of people, but Black Bottom, you know, like somebody owned a pharmacy and they could employ 20 people. So those 20 people could then say, well, I know my man's got a cleaners over here. I need to get my clothes clean. So I go over there. You know what I'm saying? That you can kind of divvy it up. But if everybody in Black Bottom owned their own business, a lot of those businesses would not be in existence for very long. You got, you know, like somebody's got to be a customer or somebody's got to be an employee. You know, you can't grow your business if you can't get employees or people to work for you. You know, so it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. But as far as like uprisings or protests, whatever you want to call them, I do think that at this point we should have some leadership councils where we can say, okay, you know what, we kind of been down this road before. This has worked for us in the past. This hasn't worked for us in the past. When the shit pops off, we kind of got a roadmap. We kind of got, okay, this is how we're going to do things. X, Y, and Z on this side of town will do this, and X, Y, and Z on that side of town will do that. At least have some structure to it so that we can minimize those outside agitators. We can point those out extremely quickly. If we know we already got the roadmap and we alone only have the roadmap, for those agitators to come in, now they really stand out. And we can get rid of them quickly. I think we need to do a better job of not only policing ourselves during an uprising, but being extremely diligent in getting these assholes up out of here immediately. Like if you see 1,000 bricks sitting in the middle of 7 Mile in Greenfield, we know ain't no fucking brick supposed to be in the middle of 7 Mile in Greenfield. Get that shit out of there immediately. Don't give these kids an opportunity to think we could use these bricks for some shit. Because if you want to do that, there's other means that we could use that'll be way more practical and way more disciplined than some fucking bricks that we know we didn't put there. Because if somebody put them there, somebody is watching those bricks, and they are watching whoever touched those bricks. You know, and I've seen that shit like a lot across the country where they just randomly just bricks at a bus station. I mean, a bus stop. Like, what type of shit is that? You know, like we got to be a little bit more disciplined in our approach in the simpler things. And that would be one of my solutions, even in the uprising. You know, as far as going forward, I think, and this is a lot of people would disagree with me, but I think that we were more successful as a people when we used the church as a foundation. And I don't even necessarily mean as a religion or that you have to be a religious person, but there are some aspects of the church that legally the government can't fuck with. Monetarily, we can do a lot more if we funnel things through the church, and we ain't got to pay no taxes on that shit. As far as, you know, like it takes a lot for the government to be able to listen in on a religious institution. Not that they can't, but it takes a lot for them to be able to do that. So we have a little bit more access to privacy. I'm just saying that, you know, back in the 60s, the 50s, and I mean, even if you want to go back to slavery times, You know, like when we use the church as a foundation for our movement, we just seem to have more success. And I, keep the religion aside if you want to use the mosque, however you want to deem it, but a religious institution nonetheless. I think that would be one of my personal solutions going forward. And like Christina was saying, I agree. Like, be black first. Stop worrying about all that other shit. We get caught up in I see it so much, especially on social media. Like just an example. LeBron James is doing a documentary, I think, on Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
You know how many fucking people I saw on there complaining about that shit, man? Oh, LeBron doing it's gonna be fucked up. Oh, well, why he ain't doing it on this? Why he ain't doing it on? Are you serious, bro? Like we want our brothers, we want our brothers and sisters to be active participants in us being more culturally aware. But then when they try, we shit on them. Like the simplest thing going forward was like that old saying: if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say shit.
But that's why the reason why I said by switching our energy. And granted, it does not have to be, we got to treat it like a business. And what I meant by that, by us being on one direction, is that we hear everybody's voices. We pick one topic that we're going to focus on and put our energy to that. Christina got her energy that she want to talk about. We're going to take that this next month. We're going to focus on that. We're going to take Jerome energy. We're going to focus on that next month. We taking each one, but we are focusing on one particular area and taking it one day by day. You know what I'm saying? But if we scattered, you know what I'm saying, then we, like you said, it's not organized, it's not structured. It doesn't mean you have to agree. Same way with business. When everybody at the table, everybody don't agree with everybody thinking about, hey, I want to make this, I want to do this, whatever. Hey, we're gonna vote on it. Boom. Okay, we rocking with this. Boom. If it sells, it sells. If it don't, it don't. You know what I'm saying? But we came to a common goal of doing something. And that's the end of the day, we have to use that method because at the day, everybody have an idea, everybody have a suggestion. So, okay, we're going to get to yours next month or we're going to get to this. Okay, but sometimes if it's not broken, don't fix it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So sometimes we might be rolling with 3 months with us keep doing what James are doing or Nicole doing. You know what I'm saying? But in the other time, okay, let's use Christina on the other end to build our weapons and, build our training aspect. Okay, we take Jerome over here. We take, the other Blue Pill and all them over here working on abs and working out and doing eating. I get Keith to learn to do health and things of that nature, but the other part is still going. It's all the components of a car or a train that's still working together. But everybody's still working on different parts, but we're still going in one direction. You see what I'm saying? And so at the end of the day, it doesn't go about worry about green or not green or like she said, getting how they feel. That's the good thing. We deal with the mental health part. But at the end of the day, okay, what you're comfortable and what you agree with right now that we can all say, let's work on this 1 month. And that's how I think effectively we'll keep going. I'm a dean at a school. I'm working in 2 schools now. And my effective teaching as well as being a teacher, as well as being a dean and also being a superintendent in some areas, I have to think fairness and understand what works that can work for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so me doing that, I'm like, hey, that don't look good. My objective is my students, my parents, and then my staff. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I'm trying to make everybody work together collectively. I'm gonna make sure your needs is good. I'm make sure your needs is good, and make sure your needs is good. But it's fair. You know what I'm saying? You might not like it this month because we're working on such and such, but you're still being your needs is being attended or attended to.
Mm-hmm. And I want to welcome Imani or Katandra to the conversation. How you doing, Queen?
Peace, man.
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. What's going on?
Peace.
We're just talking about solutions. What you got, Queen? I know you got some shit.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
To as far as law enforcement or Black community in general?
Well, the basic premise early on was, since we had the world's attention, what can we do to capitalize on that as a people, to benefit us all moving forward that's sustainable?
Say that one more time, cause my phone was connecting to the Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
Cause I'm moving around.
Since we have the world's attention at this point, what can we do to capitalize on that as a people that is sustainable and that will enhance us as a collective?
Mm. Um, to prove that we sustainable. I would, Lord. I would. It's a lot that we could do. I feel like we could do what other communities do and to circulate the black dollar more within our community before it leaves. This is a perfect time to hold major corporations.
Oh damn! I think she froze up.
Yo, I think the one thing that this whole pandemic era has proven, and Bob Johnson just
The
made a
law
statement
enforcement,
about.
military, and things of that nature. Not understand.
I'm sorry, Queen. You froze up there for a second, so we
My
may
bad.
have missed something. And my bad, Rome. My bad.
Nah, let it rock, let it rock.
Yep.
Um, that another thing is like diversifying. Even though sometimes I've been seeing that black cops have been doing, or black people have been doing, sometimes we're our own worst enemy. I still feel like there needs to be more of us in those positions. Um, I'm big on voting, um, because I do feel like we need to have more of us in legislation, more in Senate, more in positions of power that controls the narrative. Um, that's another thing that we could do. Take it seriously. We tend to throw temper tantrums when things don't go our way. Even though we are slightly
Hmm.
disadvantaged, but certain times, like especially with the Bernie Sanders situation, we kind of throw a temper tantrum with that. So it's a lot that we could do. My thoughts are gonna come out a little bit jumbled because, like I said, I was on the move, moving
Hmm.
around.
That's
But
okay.
that's some of the things that we can do. Now, law enforcement. Oh, I definitely. Phew, it's a lot that I can say about law enforcement and what we could do to change that aspect. Um, as far as that goes. So
Okay, I feel you on that. What was you about to say, Rome?
Yeah, I was gonna say, but everything going on, what this has shown is that the United States is fully capable of paying back reparations.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then if there's anything else that's been proven, is that in itself.
what did you
Yeah.
say, Ron?
That the United
The
States can afford to pay us reparations.
That is definitely true.
Yeah, yeah, that because they show came up off of $2 trillion like it wasn't shit. So yeah, they definitely got the bread to do that. They just don't have the want to do that. And I don't know if like I'm all for trying and not giving up. At some point, I think this country it'll either implode or give us some bread. One of the two. What I think that we do overlook, and again, just because I can only speak from my experiences, but I remember there's a city right outside Detroit called East Detroit. It was not always East Detroit. It used to be part of Detroit, and the people of that community did not want to be affiliated with Detroit anymore, and they literally voted themselves into their own entity in their own city. I think that is something
Which
that
is called East Point right now.
yep, it's called East Point, and that's something that we have not even approached doing. And it didn't appear to be that difficult for them, and it didn't seem, like I've heard over the years that it only takes 1,000 people. I don't know how sure that is,
I think
but
Pharaoh was talking about something like that. In the localness, he kind of raised my eyebrow about it because I think it was like 7 people or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, about how many people. It's kind of like if you think about a nonprofit, I think it's about 7 people to actually run one, or to have somebody in position to facilitate.
And that, you know, like, but that's a tangible, viable, doable thing in every major city, where not only do are you able to have your own city, but at that point, then you are policing yourselves. You're not beholden to the power structure of whatever major city that y'all were formerly in. Now you got you can get your own chief, your own cops, set it up the way you want to set it up, your own everything. You know, I think that is something that moving forward,
It's a good idea though.
and we got the bread too. Like we got enough rich black folks to really get that popping if we
My
really
only question with that is if it's already a blueprint of an outline of area codes and things of that nature. How do you just take from Detroit or do you take from somebody else's? How did that work? Is my question.
Well, what they did, they literally took from Detroit. You know, and we got another caller in. I'm gonna get them on. It just simply says iPhone. Oh, we got Minister Hashim and Zinga. How you doing, King? And let me
It's still loading.
his audio is connecting, so soon as that connects up, we'll get the King in on the line too. And if y'all don't know, man, he is the chairman of the New Black Panther Party. And I want to say they've been doing their thing for about 35 years now. And I'm just waiting on can you hear me, King? Minister Nzinga, can you hear me? Because I don't have you muted or anything, and I see you looking. Yeah, you're not muted. Bruh, can you hear me? Hashim. I think I just heard you. I don't know if you can hear us though. But yeah, actually I did hear you say something, man. And let me
You can't try to text him and say that check into his audio and out.
I'm glad you said that too. Let me just inbox him right quick. And actually, yeah, I'll just text him.
Because you can go in the settings of the Zoom and change it.
And change it to what? What do you, how
But it depends. It depends, like how I'm set up. You can do your phone, you can do the laptop, or you can have it into a microphone with the headset and things of that nature. So he have to do a test to see if it's working.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant it was something that I can do.
No, for him on his end.
Yeah, and I think he looking at it. Yeah, he looking at his phone. Nah. And my apologies, fam. But for somebody that's been putting in the work and especially on the front lines for so many years, I absolutely wanted to get the brothers' opinions. Okay, yeah. And hold on, let me just call him right quick so y'all forgive me. And do me a favor, Christina, you still there, Queen?
I'm still here.
All right, just okay. I think he getting it together now. And if necessary, we had to do it this way. I don't care. King, can you hear me?
I can on this phone.
Okay, yeah, you may have to just switch your audio on your phone. Cause yeah, I can hear you just perfectly, you know, when I call you, but we can't hear you on the Zoom.
All right, I'll just listen to you on this phone so we won't have to. Oh, y'all can't hear me?
We can't hear you.
I mean, I can hear him though.
You can hear him? You can
Yeah,
hear him
the
okay?
phone,
Can y'all hear
yeah.
him okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we can do it this way. We can all hear you. I'll just hold the phone up a little bit. How you doing, King?
Man, I'm sorry I'm late, but I'm trying to please a lot of people right now.
Man, I can't even imagine, bro. I cannot even imagine.
It's a job I wouldn't want no wish on nobody. All right, I'm ready.
You got the job because you can handle it, bro.
Yeah, I guess.
But so you, the New Black Panther Party y'all been doing y'all thing what about 35 years now?
31 years.
31 years. Okay, so and our main question was, since we have the world watching now and the attention of the globe, as a people, what can we do that will be sustainable and that would improve us as a collective moving forward?
We have to understand our history and understand chronologically where we've gotten with what we have done as a people. And you know, when you study us, everybody probably already said this before I came on. It's normal stuff that we all gonna say, but it's the truth. You're gonna go from slavery to sharecropping to the black codes, you know, and then you're gonna go into the Klan got started. Then you're gonna go into the civil rights movement. Then you're gonna go into the Black Power movement. And my position is, Malcolm said we need to be recognized. We need to recognize human rights. King wanted civil rights.
Mm-hmm.
Then Huey P. Newton and the New Black Panther Party and the young brother named Kwame Ture, they wanted black power. At the end of the day, saying Black Lives Matter is redundant because we know our lives matter. We shouldn't make people recognize our lives matter. God gave us that. We can take that and run with it. But what we want is power. You know, when you get a check for $1,600 and worked all week, and they take $480 of your dollars, this is $1 trillion we're talking about. It's not some make-believe money high in the sky. We want the right to control that money and dictate where it goes. Then when you go into the Constitution, we ain't gonna get into that because that's a 5-hour program. But we got to get into who stood next to Bush when Bush did the bailout for the bank. Goldman and Sachs. All of that negative. But the CEO of Goldman was making at that time over $700 million as a CEO. He left that job to become the Secretary of Treasury for Bush, and then eventually Bush Chief of Staff, and he brought all the Goldman and Sachs boys. Man, this is nothing but politics about Chase, Bank of America. Bank of America had a nerve today say they're going to put $1 billion into this, that, and that. But we know that's a forest. They're going to find white females that got nonprofits, some blacks that they've been working with already, feed them $1 billion in the program to what? Make us love white people more. Because you ain't going to get into those sensitivity programs telling white people about black people. They know more about us than we know about ourselves. But the same man who, it's an insult for Bank of America to even say that. The same cracker who's the CEO of Bank of America who's doing that is worth $1 billion. He's going to leave $1 billion to his son when he dies. But you say, well, that's his son. Hell no. I'm saying that probably 7, I would say maybe not 7, but at least 6 out of every 10 black people got a Bank of America account. And we've been dealing with Bank of America for 20, 30, 40 years. The late Como Cottrell, who owned Proline Hair Care, who was a very good friend of mine, was the first black board of directors for Bank of America. As you know, he turned to a Republican. He was with George Bush Jr. George Bush put him on Bank of America board of directors. Como Cottrell lasted 1 month with them old crackers. They got up there. He owned $1 billion corporation called Proline Hair Care out there in LA. He moved it to Dallas. He was on the only black on the board. He would talk to me after every board meeting. He lasted about 4 board meetings with them crackers. They would treat him like a slave. He tore up the place at the board meeting and told me he ain't gonna be that nigga. But I'm trying to tell you, this right here is all about Donald Trump and CEOs, and that's the difference between Bushes when you start talking about Bush, Ronald Reagan. I got a list here. I can go down each president, who his Treasury Secretary was, who his Chief of Staff was. All of them were CEO, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 CEOs. And that's how they ran this country for years. But Trump is the first one that was on the other side of all of this. He was a CEO, and he was the one who was dictating to the president by feeding their campaign. So when he get his stupid ass in there, he don't care about nobody because he know how the system really works. He don't need no chief of staff or nobody from Goldman and Sachs or nobody from Chase or Bank of America, because he believes he's Bank of America. And he believes he done went through that. That's why he fired people overnight. So I'm just saying, we got to understand when all of this is over and done, it's going to come back to one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Who controls the money? Whoever controls the money is going to control the neighborhoods and the police who's there to protect the rich. And that's where we at.
Okay, so what can we do as a people to put ourselves in that position to be in control?
Well, really, I'm going to be honest. Right now is the best time I ever seen in my life. Trump talking all that noise, but he into that goddamn bunker. He making sure the electricity working. He making sure they got food in that bunker. And he making sure that bunker is really that bunker. He making sure that damn space shuttle got to that space station. Trump trying to figure a way to get the hell out of here if all hell breaks loose. And those protesters are on that goddamn wall. Secret Service, they don't give a damn about snipers. How you don't give a damn about snipers when you've been in the streets of Chicago, Minnesota, and all over the world with the National Guard and snipers everywhere already? It's just a different set of snipers, a different set of soldiers. So the White House is not being attacked because of accident. It's not being the protests are not going on because we're just doing something. It's time. God has put this in place, and Trump can't stop it. Can't no man stop this. So you saying the only thing that we got to do now is do what we're doing. Don't let up the pressure. But we got to broaden our conversation, and we got to start calling out all of these CEOs, because when you study the CEOs, 5% of these CEOs run 95% of the people. But the 95% of the people still got one privilege that they ain't taken yet. One man, one vote. And when you look at the bailout that Obama got involved in,
Mm-hmm.
forced it, and that Bush started, Bush lost the bailout by 12 votes. He came back, made a deal with the Democrats, won the bailout by 3 votes, gave $700 billion to bail out Bank of America and all of these people, didn't get American people nothing. Bush went out, Obama came in, and the same people fed his campaign. He had to continue with the bailout. But the one thing that hurt him was the voters. The voters started getting rid of some of those people in those positions. And certain places you can hurt this system by voting and replacing certain people. You know, you got to study Thurgood Marshall. Thurgood Marshall went before the Supreme Court 42 times, won 39 times. Shit, eventually Johnson had to put him on the Supreme Court because he was making a mockery of the Supreme Court. This is a black man that went to Howard University. So you got all kinds of history where the vote has helped us, but we can't get out of them streets right now. And we can't stop putting the pressure on right now. But if anybody out there putting the pressure on right now and not looking at their local politics, because most politics is local, and getting the right judges, getting the right sheriffs, getting the right police chiefs, getting the right city councilmen, getting the right commissioners in place to work with them, it's all fruitless. But you got to start local, then move to the Congress, then move to the Senate, then you can control the president.
Okay. All right. I could go for that, especially with the local politics. And what we were saying a little bit earlier, like there, I gave an example of, and we got, okay. We're going to bring Taniqua into the conversation. And I'm gonna wait until her audio hooks up, and then we're gonna unmute her. And can you hear me, Queen? Let me unmute her. And as soon as that works out, we'll get her in the line. But I was using an example of a city in Detroit now called East Point. It used to be actually part of Detroit proper. And those citizens in that neighborhood did not want to be in Detroit anymore. And so they basically voted themselves into a whole nother ass city. And I was saying, that's something that we really need to look into, especially like a billionaire personally. Like,
I know a lot of billionaires, but the thing you just said, this is what happened.
uh-huh.
DeKalb County, which is a suburb of Atlanta, has 2 million people. 95% of DeKalb County is black. The whites need DeKalb County because DeKalb County is now turning into Hollywood. A lot of people are leaving Atlanta, coming out in DeKalb County suburbs with these movie deals and buying movie studios. And it's easy for them to work in the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, the whites in DeKalb County, because they can't win the votes, they can't win the votes, just like you just said in Minnesota or Ohio, wherever you're talking about. So what they did, they voted themselves out of DeKalb County and to, I think it's Dunwoody, and became a separate city in Dunwoody, but they still use DeKalb County Police, DeKalb County Firemen, and all our resources. And they give them so many years to get on their feet because they still pay taxes in DeKalb, but they get much more out of DeKalb than what they are getting. So, yeah, it's right here the same thing. When white people get upset and they can't control the politics in area, they follow the law and they break away from that area. See, we can't do that. We're going to have to go back to Elijah Muhammad and Message Black Man. We're going to need some states and some places where, and that's what I was saying, we ain't getting serious until we start looking into the railroads
Mm-hmm.
and the ports. If you are challenging a system, and here in Atlanta, home of Dr. King, you got all of these civil rights leaders and all of these sorry ass, old-fashioned ass, bought up ass Negroes, and Killer Mike and all of these niggas bought up and working with them to act like something wrong with the streets. Ain't nothing wrong with the streets. And they talking about we burning up Atlanta. And the revolutionaries are burning up Atlanta. Are you out of your fucking mind? Are you really tripping like that because a damn Target get burned up or goddamn Chevron get burned up or police car? That ain't burning up Atlanta. That ain't a damn thing to these crackers, man. Burning up Atlanta is what Abraham Lincoln did and Sherman did when they came through here and scorched Atlanta and took over the railroad and went down there and took over the ports where the ships come in and burnt this joker to the ground. And then they went in those plantation houses and those warehouses in Atlanta and those factories in Atlanta, and they took everything out of them factories. And they took everything out of them plantations, the silver, the gold, the diamonds, the people's jewelry. When you at war and you rebelling, you at war.
Mm-hmm.
That was a real war. When you want to talk about who burned up Atlanta, just remember Gone with the Wind and go look at some of that history. That's burning the city down. And goddamn it, ain't nobody saying nothing about that because that set a precedent for the Klan to come in and then Jackson to come in after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated and give the South the slaves back, their property back, their plantations back. That's why we're here at this point again.
Mm-hmm.
We're powerless when you got a bunch of civil rights leaders protect the old guard. Black people, the strongest person in Atlanta, unfortunately, maybe not unfortunately, is Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is one of the few people in Atlanta that speaks for his damn self.
Yep.
All these politicians, man, it's a waste of time. Andrew Young, I love him. John Lewis, I love him, but they need to go sit their ass down somewhere. They are too caught up in the fabric. They are not Dr. King. They are not acting like Dr. King. And just because they can get a couple of rappers to go out there and tell people to go home, where they going to go home to? Most of them people go into projects, poverty, pain, and hurt. And when they go home, the same police that's policing them downtown, police they goddamn communities every day. What's the damn difference?
Hey.
The subject matter from other cities. Now, these Negroes know how to do them long ass, worthless ass speeches because they looked at as such heroes. Man, this ain't about no heroes right now. This is about our children and us dealing with reality. We cannot continue to brag on our scientists, brag on our engineers, brag on our teachers, brag on our schools, brag on our preachers, brag on our politicians, some of them, and just brag on black people all over the world and doing such great things, and then we worthless when it comes to the world looking at us.
Well, I tell you what we do have right now, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we got a future attorney in the building. We got a teacher in the building, and we got one of the biggest entrepreneurs in Detroit. So we got a nice nucleus right here to build on the foundation going forward, and that's why I really wanted y'all particular people in on this conversation, because I know not only are y'all gonna give us gems, but it's not just talking. I wanted people that already have a track record of putting the work in, as opposed to people talking about doing shit. So salute to everybody that's on the line right now. I just felt the need to put that out there. So I'm sorry to cut you off, King.
No, I appreciate that, because it's very important that you say teachers, because we get caught up in a system where we are worst enemies. We have schools in Atlanta where black teachers, with the small salary they got, they spend half their time at Hobby Lobby and places buying material out of their own pocket to make our children understand their greatness. We just got to stop being buffoons of the world. We get into that. Booker T. Washington was a tongue. W.E.B. Du Bois worked against Garden. And we get into that history and we mess it up, because Booker T. Washington started the STEM program. Booker T. Washington went to Black Wall Street. There would have been no Black Wall Street if it weren't for Booker T. Washington going to Oklahoma, sitting with them, and doing certain things. You can talk about Booker T. Washington being a Tom all you want, but right now, black kids flock all over the world to go to Tuskegee University and get engineering degrees, doctorate degrees, all kinds of degrees. George Washington Carver, who was a house Negro, who got his, private parts cut off, understood the system at that time, but he left us a legacy that nobody can touch. W.E.B. Du Bois, even though I don't like some of the things he did, some of the things he did was great. I'm a Garvey man, but I'm not going to get into a small box where I take away achievements of other great people. When you talk about the brother Philip A. Randolph, who was working with the Porters, he put that union together. He risked his life for the Porters. And as you know, Malcolm X was a Porter. And he made life better for those Porters. But when he got ready to run for a office, he messed up and ran into Adam Clayton Powell Jr. And Adam Clayton Powell Jr. became that congressman. And people want to play slick on Adam Clayton Powell Jr. That's another one we got to study. Right now, you can go to Congress, pull all the records, pull all the history. Still to this day, nobody has put more legislation on the book as a congressional person than Adam Clayton Powell to this day. This is the person our Congress people should be studying. He compromised when he had to, but he got everything he wanted for Harlem and his constituents, and was taken down over a damn $25 check. But anyway, what I'm saying is we got enough history to see what worked, what didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And Dr. King wasn't killed because he was no coward. He was killed because he was putting so much pressure on the system, and he was beginning to change, and he was on his way to what? Poor people campaign.
Yep.
Why? He said America gave him an insufficient check. Why? Because they got all this money together and sent it to Vietnam and sent our kids to Vietnam to die in a war that they had no business fighting. People they had no business fighting against. The King was fed up with it. So King said, we're not coming to Washington to do that. I've been to the mountaintop. We coming and we setting up tents. King was doing the same thing that's happening in Washington, D.C. right now. Them people are sitting in there and they there to stay until they get changed. They know that's what King was doing. And some of King's constituents was telling them, look, man, you go into Tennessee to have some sanitation workers. All the money is in Washington, D.C. We focus on the poor people campaign. That's where we're going to get our contributions.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're going to get all the people supplying the money we need. King said, well, y'all go. And if you watch King on April 4th, a lot of people wasn't with him. A lot of people had to fly to Tennessee after he was shot. A lot of people did not go to Tennessee with him because they felt they needed to be focused on Washington. So I'm just saying, when you focus on the least of our people, you're doing the right thing. Attorney Malik Shabazz, the chairman emeritus of the new Black Panther Party, been in the streets in Washington, D.C. every night. He's been calling a lot of people out because he's angry, because like you were saying, your parents said, people do all this talking, but when it's time to put up, they get quiet and try to intellectualize through this.
Yeah.
Man, we got more intellectual property than we'll ever have in our life. Sometimes you got to put your life on the line. George Washington did not become the first president of the United States because he was no fucking coward. He fought the British. He was a goddamn peasant down there. And he understood that his tax money wasn't being used right. And I'm not no fan of George Washington, but he was a real revolutionary. And that's how he became the first president of the United States. And that's why his portrait is in the White House, and they won't put Obama's portrait up in the White House.
Man, tell me about it. And we're not gonna do the whole 2 hours tonight. I'm just gonna let y'all know that now. We're gonna do about 20 more minutes, but I want to make sure Amari tell people how they can get. I want to make sure everybody can also get in contact with each other. So if we want to get in contact with you, let us know how we do that. Imani, you can go next, and Christina, you can follow after that, and then we'll have Brother Hashim go after that.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram as well as Facebook. Instagram is Amari_Assad. Facebook is Amari Assad, and my website is amariassad.org.
All right, Queen Imani.
Sorry. You can reach me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Imani Amara. My organization is Black Justice Initiative on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can email me at KatandraJones@blackjusticeinitiative.com. And I think that's it. That's it.
All right, Christina.
Awesome. You can find me at Facebook at Christina Foster, and then on Instagram and on Twitter, I'm at Tina Foster, TEENA Foster. And I also am an educator at Imhotep Academy. So
that's so dope too.
That's here in Atlanta, by the way. Go ahead.
That's so fucking fire. I love that. And the reason I, like if y'all, everybody on here pretty much know, what I've been going through health wise. So the 2 hours is sometimes a bit much for me. So sometimes I cut the show a little short. So I do apologize for anybody out there that wasn't able to tune in from the beginning, but you can go back, make sure you subscribe to the channel, Intellectually Petty Radio, or My Skin Is My Sin. And we on Blog Talk. We got a shitload of shows on there, man. I mean, I could go over Love, Logic, and Communication with Jason Boyd. Shout out to my cousin, Queen and Vibes. We just got a shitload of shows on there under the brand of My Skin Is My Sin Radio. And it is always, man, like you don't know, man. And I'm gonna say one thing about the brother Hashim, like he just don't get on here and just talk shit, man. Like he's a brother, man, that I can call up and talk to about real life shit. And that's something that I don't take for granted and I don't take lightly. And I just want to say thank you, because I definitely have called him up. And even when I don't realize he is paying attention to what's going on in my life, like when I talked to him the other day, he's rest in peace, his condolences for my mother passing. Like, I didn't know that you knew, but that's the type of cat that he is. He is a real motherfucker, man. Like, I got much respect for everybody on the line, and I think y'all already know that. And Hashim, if they do want to get in contact with you, how do they do that?
Right now, we got a new 1-800. I'm gonna give you this number. Call us at 875-9223.
All right. And what y'all got a show every Monday, right? What's the show?
Yeah, Black Power Radio. Just go to Black Power Radio. And the other thing, you can just go to my Facebook and friend me. It's Hashim Zin.
You want to see?
Just put in Hashim Zin, and then they mess up 4 or 5 of my accounts. I go to Steve Washington, my old slave name, and we got everything. I don't do Instagram because I'm just not a real social media guy, or I would be all over the country. I just like to get the job done. The man behind me, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, he just taught me, to do more work than talk. And this new social media thing got some of us doing more talking than working,
Man,
and
yeah.
everybody, when you're going to get a Instagram, I don't even have a website because right now, it's just overwhelming how many members and how much what's going on. And some people say, well, that's crazy as hell. But really, man, it ain't too crazy. Everybody knows us and we're getting the work done.
Absolutely, man. So I just want to say thank you to everybody, man, for joining in. And I'm going to take one more call before we go. Not sure who Pablo is, but shout out to you. And that's so dope, Amani, that you got the young queen in the building.
Hi.
How you doing? That's beautiful. I love to see that. I'm gonna take this one more call before we wrap it up. And it takes a second for them to get up in here. Pablo, I know you probably can't hear me because I see you connecting to the audio. I'll unmute you as soon as possible. And how you doing, fam? Pablo, are you there? I'm gonna say going once, going twice. Pablo, are you there? All right. Well, Pablo apparently doesn't want to really say anything. Maybe you just called up and wanted to listen and didn't realize that you would be on air. But shout out to you for tuning in. And we'll be back tomorrow with the water cooler at 9 o'clock. It'll be don't bring your kids tomorrow, Amani. I'm just saying. You already know. But next Thursday we will be back. We try to make sure that we add some positivity into the atmosphere on Thursdays, and then we talk some real shit on Fridays. That sometimes, excuse my language, sometimes can be a little adult. But again, I want to thank everybody that tuned in. Rome, what you got for us, man?
Yo, man, I'm on IG at Striving for Perfection _43. And shout out Keys Development, shout out 300 Gangsters, and shout out to everybody who came on today. Subscribe to the YouTube, share our shit, and holla at us tomorrow.
No doubt, man. Don't forget to check out the website emeraldshell.com if you want some custom jewelry. She is absolutely the apex of making jewelry from our people. Don't forget to check out liberationmindedmedia.net. That's the whole family. Black Eye Stand Radio, The Rundown with Renee, Psychopatheist, and My Skin Is My Sin Radio. And it is what it is. We keep doing what we're doing, man. And please, Black Justice Initiative, Amari Assad, the Hotep Academy in Atlanta, please check those out and support them. And we out, man. Y'all have a good one.
Peace.